welcome everybody to the Week That Was, a podcast where your two brave hosts take some stories from the past week, break them down, and have a little discussion about it. So I am Todd.
I'm Jer.
Let's hop right in. So Jer, I know I feel like this is going to be a little bit of a follow-up from a story we covered last week. Remember AOC in her super brave dress at the Met Gala, tax the rich?
Yeah, I feel like things are already changing. Billionaires are already deciding to pay taxes, and I think she really should change the world.
Absolutely. World changed. All the billionaires have given over all their money and problem solved.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you remember this part of the story, but she actually brought the designer of the dress with her, I guess, as her date or as her plus one or whatever. And was like, this is an immigrant woman of color, and she's hardworking. And I think she even during the thing referred to herself as a working class woman of color, which is the idea that a congressperson would call themselves working class is just laughable. But without going too far on that, so obviously she designed this great tax the rich dress for AOC, but it turns out that AOC and her people maybe should have done a little research on this woman's company that sells $1,000 boots and tens of thousands of dollar dresses, because it turns out that her company has been delinquent on taxes and owes like $100,000 in state and federal taxes, and was also not paying their interns either at all, or they were not paying their withholding taxes. And so what ended up happening in that case is that the interns who thought their taxes were being paid are now being held accountable for those taxes by the IRS. Either way, complete mess. And I just love it when I love it on any side when a politician gets blown up with their hypocrisy and the whole their little stunt sort of bites them in the ass. And I think this was like a chef's kiss perfection moment that this all happened. So what do you think of that?
I mean, 100%. I don't know. I wouldn't have expected otherwise. I mean, I feel like everything she does is kind of it's a publicity stunt. It's just to make news and not really matter. I hate to say it too, but I feel like the only reason she really gets traction on things is because she's attractive. And I feel wrong saying that kind of, but it's true. People wouldn't be listening to her if she wasn't attractive. She's just loud. She does, I will admit, there's things that she says on her follow-up when she started getting all of this crap on Twitter was actually pretty good. The way she talks, she definitely has these little points that that you remember and then are repeated. So she was defending herself about the Met Gala, and she's like, well, when I say tax the rich, I'm talking Betsy DeVos scamming college loan rich. I'm talking Jeffrey Bezos flying to the moon richer. And she gave a couple examples of rich, and she was like, it's not that big a deal. It's literally 10 people. And I obviously didn't repeat it a good way, but the way she talks is impressive. She gets her little points off and whatnot, but it's very, in my opinion, surface level, and there's no digging deep into it. Hey, maybe Jeff Bezos doesn't pay taxes, but that's surface level. Let's dig into it. How much does he create in the economy? He produces billions of dollars of work. He's in charge of 1 million different workers. He does this and that. He's produced philanthropy, produced other organizations. He's trying to life extension. So he's not paying taxes, but let's look a little further into it. So same with this dress. I feel surface level, she gets this dress and she goes, oh, this looks good. I have this working class dress designer, blah, 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 but it's surface level. And then all it takes is a couple people to dig in and be like, yo, this is completely bullshit and a sham. And this woman isn't as upstanding as she might have seemed. She owes a lot of taxes, which the whole thing's about taxes, just makes it that much funnier.
Well, and I think I love this story because it was a great example of I think and we talked a little bit about this last week with the idea of loopholes and the way that language is used a lot on the left, and that Jeffrey Bezos pays his taxes, no one's saying he's guilty of tax evasion. They're just saying with the way laws are structured, he pays less taxes than we want him to.
Right.
And that he should be paying more. And that's something I could get on board with, but it's like, yo, don't be mad at Jeff Bezos. He's just doing what any business owner does, which is you minimize your tax burden.
Exactly. Don't be mad at him. Hate the game, not the player or something, right? Maybe like the opposite way, but it's like, don't hate Jeff Bezos, hate the policy. Why does she bash Jeff Bezos all the time? Makes no sense to me.
That was just great though, with the fact that it's like, yo, your homegirl here, she was just straight up not paying taxes. That was hilarious about it.
Exactly.
So what about you? What you got for us?
Quick little fun fact though, about the Met Gala. So supposedly the Met Gala only fundraises for the costume division of the art museum, which is just pretty funny also, just like to make you think. So a lot of this like seems pointless and all that. And then just my last little thing is like, I feel like I wish people spoke a little bit more about how AOC completely ruined New York's chance of getting like millions of jobs, and how there's a lot of people who don't have jobs in New York, and it's probably attributed to her. And hey, maybe people want more than $15 an hour warehouse jobs, but if there's no jobs, I think $15 an hour warehouse job is better than the alternative. And there's a lot of people struggling in New York, and I attribute it to her, which, and I feel like Bill de Blasio attributes it to her, and other politicians do, but people just don't really talk about it much. But so my thing, I feel like it's kind of following up on something we've already touched upon too. So this will be the week that was of just an extension of things we've spoken about before. But I'm fascinated by this bridge in Texas. I'm just gonna say this bridge in Texas. Let's see if you know what I'm talking about.
In Del Rio, Texas, where apparently it's just like the place that migrants hang out. And I feel like a month ago it was like a shit ton of people from the southern border, and then this past week it was this giant group of Haitians that I guess had also come up through the southern border. And yeah, Jeremy, why don't you tell us what was going on down there?
Dude, it's getting reckless down there. I mean, I think there's guys on horses starting to like beat the people, and there's like really bad pictures coming out where I'm not trying to compare like two bad things, but I'd probably rather be in a cage than be beat. I don't know. Just my opinion, not trying to compare really, but this seems horrible, and it's crazy that just no one's talking about it.
Well, look,
they're starting to talk about it.
Well, and also to play devil's advocate. So, look, I'm not a horse man, a horseback rider, so I don't know. But apparently, what they were doing, they didn't have, the first thing they said is they had whips, which apparently was BS, and that they just have like really long reins on the horses, and I guess they're trained in a way to like whip out the reins to keep people from trying to pull them off the horses or to like grab the horses. But I will 100% agree with you that the pictures that were coming out looked absolutely horrific. And also there is just something messed up about the idea of like, I don't know if you mean, when I've been to places where the police are out on horses, those guys are riding gigantic horses, and the idea of one of them like bucking and going wild near me would be terrifying.
Oh, of course. And then too, it's to me, it's just crazy, like the silence. I know some people are talking about it, but Biden hasn't really been talking about it much, which is weird. And then the last thing that's just like keeps on boggling my mind is everyone hated Trump, right? But why isn't everyone hating the policies that Biden kept of Trump? So we still have the policy of shipping people back to these countries because of the pandemic or whatever. Trump got a lot of shit for that when it happened, and now we're continuing that practice. And again, no one really talks about it. But all these people are just being like shipped back, which is kind of just nuts that we are continually doing that. And it's I'm curious why people don't talk about it. Is it because things are seemingly better for a lot of people, so they're busy with work and having fun and they don't really care? Just last year there's nothing else to do? Or is it literally one person does it and it's okay, and one person does it and it's not okay?
I think it's much more that. And there's a couple other things to add to this story is that, you're absolutely right. The Biden administration just is basically acting like this isn't a thing and that it's not a problem. and his allies in the media are really aiding and abetting this whole thing. Senator Ted Cruz, who I've got no love for at all, but he basically challenged AOC. He said, "Hey, you went and cried at with the kids when they were Trump's cages. Why don't you go back down to the border and see what's going on?" Because apparently, by the numbers, everything in terms of the kids in cages and all that shit, it is as bad and I believe worse than it was ever under Trump. And there is zero performative politics by AOC and the rest of them in terms of going there and holding their face and crying. It's like, look, if it's a messed up situation, then it's a messed up situation now. I don't like it. I was upset about it then. I don't like it now. And we need to do something about it. And the thing also with the Haitian group specifically is they said that they were going to send them all back to Haiti, and then a lot of news organizations started asking well, hey, can you give us numbers of how many were there, how many have gone back to Haiti, all this, and the administration has been really shifty and dodgy about it. And then some reporters uncovered the fact that they're not necessarily going back to Haiti; they're shipping them to Chicago and Harrisburg and New York City, and they're just seeding them throughout the entire United States. And it's just which is fine or it's not fine, I don't know, but be honest, just tell us what you're doing. And also because it's you can't hide 15,000 Haitians, people are gonna find them.
Yeah.
We're not crazy. Stupid.
It makes me this might be messed up too, but for some reason I keep on thinking of the movie Scarface. There's definitely a couple Al Pacinos who have found themselves into the U.S. and who knows what's going to happen. There's definitely some good people too. Mostly 99% good people, but that's the other thing. Tracking is, I guess, my main thing is we're not tracking. We have no idea what's going on.
Well, look, and it's just complete and utter hypocrisy because, look, if nothing else, if these people are coming in, they should have a boatload of COVID vaccines and they should just be popping them in the arms every time. They're barely testing these people. I can't take you seriously when you're talking about, reduced event capacity, masking, social distancing, vax passports, when it's but these hundreds of thousands of people streaming across the border, they're fine. We might test them, we might not. Who knows? Come on.
No, it doesn't add up. It's pretty ridiculous, and I feel I'm obviously not going to choose this as my my thing to talk about next week, but it doesn't seem like it's going away. So we'll probably touch upon this a few more times because I don't know what could possibly happen. I really don't.
This problem is only going to get worse, and the administration with a freaking assist from the media is basically being there's nothing to see here. This isn't a big deal. Oh, you're a racist if you care about this. What's going on?
That's being thrown around too. Is racism, and I just don't get it. It's why wasn't it racist when it was Mexicans, but it's Haitians now, so it's racist.
Stop asking super inconvenient questions.
It's wild, but who knows what's gonna happen? It's definitely interesting. I hope the Haitians get to a home of safety at some point. I feel bad that they're being used as political pawns.
Absolutely.
But yeah, pretty wild. I'm down to keep the pressure on Biden. I'll keep the pressure on Trump. If it was Trump doing it, what's right is right. I feel people got to stop giving excuses just because people are on their side. You got to call people out regardless of who it is. But that's all I got. Todd, that was awesome talking to you. This is the week that was not a good week, but next week will be better. All right.
People. Give us some happy news.
Next week we'll have happy news. Bitcoin tanked this week. It was cool. I liked that it was I like to celebrate the mid-autumn equinox. That was this week with the full moon. So that was cool. But that basically means the next 6 months are just about to be the dark period, which I don't know. We're about to get into some depressing episodes.
Darkness, Jeremy. All right, man. Great seeing you.
Great seeing you. Talk to you soon, brother. Later.
Peace.